Hello. Okay, we're here for the interview. Let me just invite the different people. And Sam. Okay, invites are sent. Hello.
Hello.
It
Hello
worked.
again.
We did it.
Yes,
We made it.
finally.
Great.
Okay, so do you want to do an introduction, Sam? Is that how it works?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Bueno, pues hola a todos, bienvenidos a los que se van conectando. Esta entrevista se transmitirá en inglés porque así fue a solicitud de Carolina y Michael. Solamente quiero agradecerles. Thank you very much for being here, Michael, from New York.
Thank you.
You are making this interview. Voy a presentar en español a Michael. Él es un artista joyero, creador de su propia marca junto con su hermano. Se llama David Michael Jewels. Y su despacho o su situación donde se encuentra localizados en Costa Dorado, en Australia. Bueno, pues yo los dejo aquí que transmitan. Por favor, hagan una entrevista maravillosa. Thank you, Michael. Please give us a good interview with Carolina. She has a lot to tell us.
She does.
Gracias, Dani. Muchas
Thank you very
gracias.
much. See you.
Okay, thank you, Sam.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay.
So hello, Mark.
Hello.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too. Yeah, sorry for all of the rush. Like Sam said, I'm in New York at the moment on business, so I'm in a hotel room, and the connection and setup isn't quite what I'm used to, but we'll make the most of it.
Amazing. And that's the great of this technology.
It is
One of the good things
all together.
of this new world, yes.
It is. Okay, Carolina. Well, I think the obvious place to start is, well, introducing who you are.
Okay.
I guess Sam did that a little bit, but like roughly who you are, what's your name, and where you grew up, maybe, so that the listeners can know.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing with no family whatsoever related to jewelry, and not even the arts.
Right.
But even that was my situation. I had always a pure love and passion towards arts.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can you remember when that interest first struck you? Like at what age?
Yeah, I really like 5 or 6.
Oh,
I wanted to be a singer, and particularly I wanted to play the guitar. I remember that very well. And music for a while, well, for a long while, was my whole life. I wanted to be a singer.
That's really interesting because obviously, I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but in your jewelry, now that you say that, they actually have quite a musical look to them. Like they're very theatrical and they tell a story like a song does often. So yeah, I can see the connection.
I think that definitely with music, it's part of me. Have you talk about the rhythms or some references? Is one of those things that could never be out of me. Yeah. Like it's part of my DNA already.
The beat is pulsing through your veins.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So then how did that interest of arts and music become jewelry focused?
Yes, it's a long story. It's one of these that answers that you cannot just say it very briefly. Yeah. Because it was a whole process. I found jewelry when I already had a career, and how I say 2D work career, because it was about literature. Yes. Okay. Yes. About a page, about letters. Mm-hmm. So, but I felt that I always had this urgency to find what I really wanted to do. Like, what is my essence? Why am I here in this world? Yes. And I knew there was something, and that's why I really literally I studied music professionally, but then I went into English literature and I graduated from that, and still I felt that those were not my way for expressing what I wanted to express.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing is that I continue searching all the time. Like, I was not satisfied, and I continue searching. Like, when I was deciding to make maybe a career turn and go more into art history, I discovered decorative arts, which I discovered the name because I already knew that, but I just discovered there was a whole line of research related to that. And of course, with that, I came to know silver and and objects made with metal. And I realized that moved me in a very curious way, because it's actually painful for me to watch something beautiful. It was so beautiful that it hurts me so much. So I knew that there was something that I really wanted to explore further. And then I had the fortune of traveling to Firenze, to Florence. And of course,
how old were you at that time when you went to Florence?
I was like 25 or something. Okay. It was not, as I told you, I discovered jewelry not that young, like 18 or something like that. And of course, by researching about Firenze and everything to that, it's a city where arts craft and art and jewelry in particular is very important. I really definitely fell in love with that. And I found out that my way was there. But the story doesn't end there, because after that, I went to London. I was on a trip, and I remember very vividly, and I say it was an epiphany, because I was at the British Museum, room 69, and during that time, that room was for Roman daily life artifacts or things like that, like games and all that. And I saw a very tiny gold ring with, I don't know if I'm pronouncing correctly, I just forgot the word, phallus, that's how you say?
Maybe filigree?
A phallic ring.
Filigree.
Yeah. And I was so moved because it was so small and it was for a child. Yeah. And when I read about it, it was like this amulet for protection. And that moved something very deeply inside me, and like the meaning of the object and how people from those ancient times regarded so important to wear objects. And in that moment, I remember I said to myself, I could not be living one more day without being part of jewelry. And that was it. And from that day to this moment, I completely infused myself with jewelry. Yeah.
It was great back then with the historical jewels, how jewelry was about being special and about being of the moment to symbolize something in that moment. It wasn't about having big, expensive, flashy things. It was about having special things. And so a child ring was really great.
Exactly. And that's why it moves me. And I believe that's what moves you in your work. It's not about the bling bling. It's about the meaning behind and how that meaning really moves something deeply inside, like your soul. And precisely, I start loving old jewelry or ancient jewelry, because it's very...
The old jewelry tell the stories better, so it's nice to be inspired by the older jewelry.
Yeah, and you always find like it's very charged with symbolism, and that's precisely something that I like to have in my work, not just because I believe it's so precious. Those metals, it's a gift from the earth, so precious, and all the stress that we make to the world for extracting that. So I believe they have to reflect something more meaningful.
So something that might actually help a lot of the watchers is, once you had this epiphany and you saw that amazing ring and you decided, I can channel my art talents into jewelry, what was the first thing you did? Like, did you start searching for jewelry schools, or did you just start drawing? Or once you fell in love with jewelry, what's the next step you did?
What's the next stage? It was difficult, because what I wanted to do in that moment, what I thought was like making jewelry history, because I'm a fan of art history and like research and all that. Yeah. And I find out that doesn't exist. At least here in Mexico, that doesn't exist. And as much as I have searched in other places, like a career on art, jewelry history don't really exist. And so that leads me to do it on my own. I start taking art history classes, and I asked the teacher to, in every period, allow me to teach a little about jewelry, and that helped me a lot. And by looking at that, I also realized, like, I start drawing. I've never drawn in my life.
Oh, really?
I could not even do a circle correctly, but by looking, and it was really organic in a sense, because I started doing like my own designs. And then I realized, I think I'm good by designing. And when I decided that, I started to taking lessons
What age are you at this time? Still like 27 or 20?
Like 26, 27, yeah.
So that's the first time you started sort of learning how to draw.
Yeah, from zero, absolute zero. And of course, it was very frustrating, but at the end, you can manage if you really have the passion and the sacrifice to sit for hours.
So after the talk, if people haven't seen Carolina's drawings and renderings, like, you need to go to her page and check them out, because you'll see how far she's come in such a short time, because the sketches are really, really detailed and really amazing, and they portray all the aspects of jewelry really well, like the gems themselves and the jewelry. So that's quite some progress. That's really good.
Thank you. Yes, I believe sometimes, to be honest, when I'm drawing and I don't know how I'm doing it, I feel like to quote a musician Brahms, he used to say that God, that he didn't compose, that it was God who was composing through him. I know it might sound like a little exaggerating, but I feel sometimes the same. I don't know how I managed to do some pieces. It was like, I just do it, but I don't know how. Like, I have to be honest, I with jewelry, I'm very spiritual, and I always feel that there is something like let's say, the spirit of jewelry there with me. I like to say that we both find each other, not only me, but also jewelry found me. I feel that way.
Yeah. Okay, so you started drawing your own designs. Oh, you were explaining you went to a school to learn. Sure.
Yeah, here in Mexico, some short courses. And I realized that I wanted to do more and more, and I wanted to improve a lot, and that made me to also to start working with method, because it's very important, like in little workshops and the whole immersion. Because there's something very curious here in Mexico City. We're here in not only in Mexico City, but in the whole country, we do not have a jewelry school, a jewelry, how to say, superior level on jewelry, or even a master. We don't have that.
Exactly the same for me, coming from the bottom of the world. There weren't.
Oh, really?
No, there were craft schools where you could go to learn how to craft things, like playing with clay or beads and things like that, but not really a high level of jewelry schools. It's changed a little bit now, but because I'm old, back in the day when I was learning, there weren't jewelry schools either.
How curious. Yeah. Well, yes, here in Mexico too, and that's very curious also for Australia. You were when you were young, you were living there.
I was born and raised in New Zealand, which is a smaller country, even lower than Australia, and there weren't jewelry schools there. I only moved to Australia like about 7 years ago, so I'm sure there's probably jewelry schools there now, but back in the day there wasn't. Yeah.
Well, that's the problem here, and sometimes because it seems like a craft, because we do have craft schools with silver, because silver here in Mexico is very important. The work of silver, but regarding design and what I wanted to do, I mean, the truth is I learned everything from books. I was like a book nerd, and everything I could read, I read it. And of course, I really grew up during this moment with a very European sense of jewelry. And those things that I wanted and the craftsmanship that I wanted, it was not like here, and I couldn't find it. Even courses for designing jewelry specifically, like 5 years ago, 6, there was none here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's what made me.
So when you did the small jewelry courses, the jewelry drawing courses in Mexico, then what was your next move to keep on learning?
Yes, and that's my next move was because I was telling myself, okay, I'm going for this like for real, and then going to be behind a career I already did, and so I'm going for everything. So I decided to start searching like for opportunities abroad, and I had a lot of luck because I got a scholarship for studying at GIA, which as many of our people here, and it's one of the most important schools related to jewelry.
Yes.
So, and I also have to give thanks to Anastasia Young, which is a teacher I met at St. Martin's, Central St. Martin's, because I also had the chance to study there for a time, because she really helped me to getting like the recommendation for the GIA scholarship, because it's expensive, and to be honest, I couldn't afford that to be that time in London. Plus paying that, it was impossible. And when I received like the news that I was accepted with almost a 90% scholarship, I was very happy.
Really amazing. Yeah, I bet you were very happy, because there must be only such a small number of people they accept for those scholarships, right?
I believe they are very generous, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
And without that scholarship, I couldn't do. There was no way I could have gone there.
They must have seen the talent inside you and decided that it was worth fostering and sort of taking you further.
Probably. And I really and it was interesting because during that time we both started a very a lot of conversations that really helped.
When we first kind of met and started chatting, I think you found my jewelry page online.
And it was so hard for me because I was so depressed during that time. And I had like this designer's blog, and I couldn't believe in myself, which is
a big move too, moving countries and starting at a new school and with different languages and different people. So it's a big endeavor to do.
Yeah, there were many things, and I felt I was doubting about myself. Like, I think this is not for me, and I couldn't do anything good. And I was trying a new material because I used to draw on paper, grey paper.
Yeah.
And I started working on vellum, which is a little tricky. So it was so hard during that time. I mean, I love jewelry, and my love for jewelry and my conscious that's for me, it's what moves me even when things seem so hard.
I think for inherently creative people, it's always hard to be in a school, because no matter how great the school is, if you're a creative person, you want to just be creating. You don't want to be being told how to create either. I mean, we all want help and tips and things like that, but to be structured and say you must use vellum and you're supposed to do it this way, it's a whole different set of rules rather than just picking up a piece of paper and just sketching. Yeah. That's quite difficult.
At the end, I love vellum.
Yeah.
I realized that it was a good material after a lot of struggle, and sometimes I like to paint on vellum, even though I could still paint the other way. Yeah. But that definitely changed my life during that time in London, and a little before when I was part of Central St. Martin's, and I took also some workshops there. I mean, London, it's very important for me because, for example, I learned soldering there instead of Mexico. And I learned many important things like in London rather than here in my country. So I always think about London with a lot of love, and it's definitely related to my jewelry practice.
To your journey. Yeah. And obviously having the experience of soldering and working with metal also probably helps you in your designs, right? Because then you know how things are made, so you can design so that you can make pieces that actually can be made, rather than designing something that isn't practical or isn't able to actually be made by craftspeople.
I think it's very important, and that's one of the things I admire of your work, that you do everything by yourself.
Yeah.
I haven't arrived to that level where I can do everything. I hope I can do it one day, but it's very important to know your material, to know how it works, to touch it, for being a better designer, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Do you still work with metal making today, or are you? Yeah. Do you spend most of your time designing? A little bit of both.
Right now, in fact, I'm doing more than the drawing. Like I stopped drawing and designing, and I started to take a little workshop on human figure. Yes. And so I started like focusing on that instead of jewels. But now I'm doing more
sculpture.
Like no, but on drawing, yeah, like human figure. So I make it like a little stop on designing jewelry like that. And right now I'm working more on metal. I'm trying to work more on that, and also the ideas come more easily sometimes. But definitely, I particularly the very crazy ideas I like to make a drawing, because sometimes they are so expensive to do that that's the only way you can have them first.
Oh yeah, if you have a really crazy idea in your mind, it's always good to get it on paper, even if you don't have the means to maybe make it right then. You never know, there might be a client out there that sees the design and then commissions you to make it, or it's one step closer to getting the piece made if you get it out of your mind and on paper.
Yes, like right now I'm more like those fantasies I want to do one day. That's what I make drawings of that. The more simple ones, like I can make a doodle and that's it right now.
Do you share most of your sketches and designs you do on your Instagram profile, or do you keep like most of them private, or?
Well, right now I have changed a lot my way of showing like my work. I used to share a lot of things, but right now like I keep it more for myself. Yeah, like for many things that because obviously personal things affect also your work. Yeah. More when you are an artist and working with that, you're close together. I mean, your personality and what's going on, it's close together to you. So I really have changed my way maybe for the bad, because I should be posting more things.
Yeah, but I mean, once you've got the drawing, you can always post it at any time. Like you can post drawings in 5 years what you're working on today. There's no time limit, so it's nice to have a few in reserve, and then you can share them when you're ready.
Yes, I feel like I have become more reserved in a sense.
Yeah.
But I think that happens to all of us. We have like periods where we share more things or not.
That's right. I know the question I always get asked, and I always find it very difficult, but people normally ask me, have you got a favorite piece that you've designed?
Of my designs?
Yeah. Have you, like, one design? It could be just a design, or it could be a piece you've actually made. Do you have a favorite?
I do have some favorite ones that I haven't done them yet. One is inspired by a poem by Baudelaire, and it's like a sort of mermaid, but it has wood and a lot of opals. I might post it before a little, when this is over, I might post it. Wow. That regarding designs, but like pieces that I've done, definitely the earrings I'm using right now are one of my favorite pieces.
Is that letras?
Very symbolic. This is lapis, gold, silver, and I have some words at the back which says sursum corda, which means like it's a way of cheering up somebody. So this is a very meaningful piece for me, and I love it. Yes,
it's nice because that when you wear it, the cheer up is facing inwards towards you.
Yeah.
So it's telling you to cheer up, and everybody.
Yeah, those little secrets which I love on jewelry, that this is the part that everybody watches.
Yeah.
But at the back, you have like your secret message. Because jewelry is really intimate. It's about you.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's about you.
The happy love heart part is facing out, so you're sharing happiness and love with everybody. And then the secret message is facing inside for you to remember.
Exactly, yes. And that's what I admire of jewelry. As you know, what I love is that there are objects, and seemingly useless objects. Yeah. I mean, you don't eat with them. You don't need them for anything. Yeah. But they have very, very deep meanings for us, and they actually can change decisions, can change the way we feel in a day. Yeah. That's extraordinary.
Do you remember that child's ring that you saw in the museum that inspired you? Do you hope that one day in 100 years' time that maybe those earrings are in a museum that inspires another young woman? Do you ever think about that, or you're just creating designs you like?
I used to think that, but you know something? Right now, I believe there is nothing more sad than a piece of jewelry that is not used.
Yes. Yeah.
I know the contemporary jewelry there in the 60s start to change in that view, and sometimes you can have jewelry that you don't even use. Yeah. And I respect that a lot. But for me personally, I believe that you need to wear jewelry. Jewelry is for being wearing, for being part of your body. So it's amazing to go to the museum. So for example, in France, in this decorative arts museum, where we have a whole amazing room full of laliques and everything, or even in Victoria and Albert in London, or even in New York at the Met, where you have those amazing pieces. But there is something very sad about that they are not used.
Yeah, there is. It's kind of static looking, isn't it? It's almost like looking at a photograph where the people are like trapped in that moment in time within the photograph. But I guess at least with the museum pieces, I mean, it's theoretical that one day they could be worn again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that's interesting. So you'd rather somebody purchase those earrings from you and enjoy them and wear them?
Yeah, definitely. To wear them and even pass them down, which is something when you do good jewelry. And that also, unfortunately, has to do also with materials, because there are materials that are more resistant to time, as we can know with gold, than other ones. So those things I have in mind with my jewels, like to last a lifetime.
And just curious in terms of like the people watching and stuff, how you actually work. If somebody was wanting to get a particular design made especially for them, are you happy to deal with clients that way and take on their inspirations to design a special commission piece for them? Or?
Yeah, definitely. That's what I do more.
That's what you do more rather than
I do more. And sometimes it's hard because, for example, I can give you an example. I had a couple that wanted a wedding ring inspired by Harry Potter.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a fan of Harry Potter at all.
I've never seen or read a Harry Potter book.
Yeah, but they were really fans of Harry Potter. And I mean, this is a job as well. So you really have to do your best and get the idea of them, to listen them, but also translate it into something that it's new. So sometimes it can be actually, how do we say this? A challenge for you.
Well, it's difficult because you then have to make two people happy. You have to make you happy as the artist creating something, but you also then have to make the other couple happy too. So
definitely, and that's very important because I need to feel satisfied with the things I'm doing, even if it's a very simple piece in silver or wherever. I need to feel satisfied.
Yeah. No, that's very true. It's the same way I work too. You have to enjoy what you're doing, or else it's not going to translate through into the finished piece.
Yeah, and I love it so much. For example, right now I'm doing even small repairs, like soldering chains and all that.
You know the great thing about repairs? The more repairs you do, the better you get at designing jewellery, because you know where things fail and you know how chains wear and you know how things break, so that when you're designing you can keep that in mind, you can think, oh, the chains normally always break near the clasp here, or these clasps are better than others. So it's actually quite a good thing to do.
Yeah, with jewelry, I've learned to be patient. I'm so thankful, even with my mistakes. When I'm working on a piece and I do it wrong, it's not like I do everything wrong. It's like, okay, I already learned. I won't do it again. Like the truth, I have a big love for jewelry. That everything is learning. Everything is learning. Everything is for a good reason. Yeah, and yes, I enjoy making repairs.
Yeah. You know, that's good. I remember when I first started out, I did repairs, just repairs. I didn't make anything for about 3 years. And, I mean, it got a little tedious, but also, like, it was a challenge to see just how well you could repair something. It was a good challenge.
Yeah, that's great, like, to transmit to people, because jewelry it's very hard. I mean, there are a lot of stages, steps, and sometimes I love how horrible the pieces look when you're working on them, and then it's magic. It's like really magic, and you transform that into a piece.
The metal, when you're soldering on it, it goes all black and oxidized and looks horrible. It's not. People get sucked into thinking it's all about the sparkle and the shiny gold, but the metal doesn't look like that the whole time you're making it. It's only the last thing you do is polish metal and make it look nice.
Yeah, and I think in a way I think about alchemy, and why they use metals as a reference. I think it's really like that. When you're soldering, when you are transforming the metal into something liquid, and when you're transforming that into a long piece or wherever, and you're working, and also because you are really meditating when you're doing that, you're really thinking. So I believe it's one of the most amazing process on our jewelry, making jewelry, and it's one of the things that has been really with us from ancient times, and that's why it has this very, very big meaning to us as humanity.
Yeah, well, that's a really good way to look at it. But yeah, I would also recommend, if you're getting into jewelry, don't think it's all going to be sparkles and shiny metal and fun. It's not always going to be fun. There's challenges, and there's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of mistakes to be had as you learn. And again, there's just really a lot of work, because people see the picture you post on Instagram and see how glamorous this finished piece look, but you could have been working on the piece for weeks or months or years of really hard work to get that final picture.
Exactly. And for example, in my case, even because I try to work with gold, and as I do almost one-of-a-kind pieces, also getting the metal. For example, these are very important because these are quite heavy. Yeah. So it took me a lot of time to really have the resources for making them. And I already had the designs for years before until I could do them. And yes, you put a very pretty picture, but the person that it's like in the other side of the picture is all sleepy, all dirty, the hands are destroyed.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fingernails are all chipped up and they're not looking very pretty. But yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Did you have anything else in particular you wanted to talk about your work, or?
Well, about that, what I pursue, what I want to show with my work is precisely the importance for human life of jewelry, and the beautiful present that the world gives to us. And in here I do have, it's a love for the best of nature, but also for the best of humans, because we are able to transform that rough gem into something spectacular. So for me, it's actually the best part of humans with the best of nature. It's a work where we work together. Instead of destroying, we were doing something great.
It really does almost feel like you're a wizard sometimes. You're taking these raw lumps of metal and stone and you're twisting and changing natural stone and metal into what you want to be. It's almost the same as like picking up one house, deciding you don't like the shape of that house and just changing it into a skyscraper or something completely different. It really is a special sort of the process of creation really is special.
It is special, and more because you're working with these very, very, very ancient pieces. I mean, they're all diamonds. It comes like witness of time. You know, they are before us. They are before everything, and it's so special. And I like to really cherish that, not only for, as we were saying, just bling bling and diamonds and all that, but really to bring to them a meaning that to can respect, to respect them. Exactly,
Oh, that's great.
And that's what I pursue with my pieces.
No, you can see the love and care and the thought that goes into pieces. It's not, like you said, it's not just about simply displaying a big stone or anything like that. There is art in the piece rather than just a value in the piece. It's nice. It's a nice mixture.
Yes, and just for the record, that's one of the things that I love about your pieces. I remember that when I was starting, my idol was Lalique. Was like everything, and nothing can compare with him and everything. But then I found out your pieces, and I was like, wow. And then you become also one of my top 5 in jewelry. Yeah, because
whereabouts on the list? Like closer to top 1 or down?
You're almost side by side with Lalique. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, that's because
Lalique is amazing. Yeah, Lalique.
But I feel he also transmits that emotion, that sentiment into the pieces, and that's what I like to. That is what moves me when I'm seeing a piece from other people. I can see a big diamond, the best one, flawless, and that won't tell me anything. I want to see what's around that.
No, it's very true. That's very true. Well, I mean, we're coming close towards the end of the time. It was really great talking to you again.
Definitely.
I've learned a little bit more about you. And so everybody after this obviously needs to head over to Caroline's page to check her out and give her a follow if you're not already following. And it was nice speaking to you.
And also too, David Michael Jewels, he's the star here. I feel so honored.
They can do that if they want to, but really the focus is to get on over and check out your page. Yeah.
Well, thank you then. Thanks to everybody for being here.
If somebody's watching this and they have questions either for me or for Caroline, go to our profiles and send us a DM. We'll answer them, or comment on one of the pictures and we'll answer any questions.
Exactly. If you want to say anything, ask.
No.
Buy something? Great.
Goodbye. I've got another meeting to go to.
Okay, so perfect.
Okay.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. Thank you with all my heart. Thank you for everything.
No problem. Great chatting to you.
And we chat later.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.